Hey everybody, and welcome to a Fresh Set. I'm Sabrina.
And I'm Kevin.
We probably seem like the most unlikely pair of people for an F1 podcast, but we are just two F1 loving friends that decided that we needed to take our texts and Instagram to you guys. And so that's where we are now.
Yeah, we felt like we needed to. Doesn't mean that we felt like, or that you feel you need to listen to us, which we hope you do. But
please do. Please listen.
But yeah, so I guess we'll get right into it about our very first show. Yeah. See how quickly this goes off the rails.
All right. Well, you go first. Yeah.
So yeah, we kind of wanted to, I guess, first of all, get to let everybody know how we know each other. I mean, we know each other. Well, I mean, you've known my wife's family
since I was 6 years old.
Your whole life.
Yeah,
pretty
basically.
Much. And you were friends with them, and they were friends with you, and then I just kind of married into it.
You married into our friendship.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And then it kind of just took on a life of its own. My wife probably hates us for it.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Bianca will be on the show once in a while. Yeah,
yeah.
We're going to have Bianca here. That's Kevin's wife. Can't tell. She is one of my best friends. So I think we'll have her pop up on social media on the podcast.
We'll have some segments that she can contribute to.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we've known each other for... How long have you guys been together?
Well, we've been together since 2011, so 12 years.
Oh, there we go. So
actually, almost 13.
Don't get in trouble now.
No. It's quick math. But yeah, that's basically how we know each other, and how we got into this. Well, actually, not exactly how we got into this, but how we got our name was another thing we want to talk about. It was a pain in the ass to get to our name. There are a lot of F1 podcasts that have
F1 related.
Yeah, that have something to do with the F1 world. Yeah. I mean, you can't think of anything that has to do with a pit or a pit stop or a pit wall or whatever, or
Formula One
or anything whatsoever. But yeah, so we kind of I was just going through anything we could think of that kind of had something to do with it, and Fresh Set.
We also like dad jokes.
Yeah. It's
That's kind of
so
where the name came
everybody
from.
grabbing a fresh set of tires or whatever, just listening to the broadcast, and all you hear them talk about is fresh sets. So
yeah,
it's kind of we just kind of stupidly stumbled upon.
Yeah, exactly, basically.
Yeah. Okay, the big thing is kind of how we got into this.
How we got into Formula One. Yeah, I think that's a lot of people's questions. I mean, my friends that are like, you started a Formula One podcast?
I got a lot of those too.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, Drive to Survive pushed it. But my dad actually and my uncles used to race go-karts when I was young.
Wow, that's okay.
Yeah,
that's I didn't even know.
Yeah,
all right.
So they used to race go-karts when I was young. I used to go to the track. They used to watch Formula One. My dad just actually recently told me he doesn't watch Formula One anymore because he doesn't like that they're using
power units.
Yes, instead
it's
of
hybrid, it's a hybrid system.
Yeah, he's like, it's hybrid. They're not actually driving. I'm like, okay.
Well, they're still driving.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, Dad. But so they used to watch it and race. I don't know how seriously, but they used to do that. And then Drive to Survive. For me...
Which we're probably going to catch a lot of flack for if
absolutely.
People that don't know us are listening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what I liked about Drive to Survive was you got to see everything that goes on behind the scenes.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's what's interesting to me. Everybody's going to be like, oh, it's another girl watching. She just watches for the guys. Well, yeah, but how the pit wall can fix a car while not coming into the pits is really cool to me. So it was all the behind the scenes, how it works, how the FIA works.
Yeah.
the whole sport is just really interesting. And that's what really got me into it and obsessed with it, really.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm fairly similar. I growing up, not that my father ever liked racing. If he did, he never talked to me about it, but he never mentioned it. So I don't know if anybody. I know a couple of my uncles really like racing, but not really. It was never part of the conversation.
Right.
You see the odd Ferrari or Schumacher poster up in somebody's random garage or something. But I didn't like racing. I never liked racing. I maybe growing up in North America, my biggest exposure, which is ridiculous to say because IndyCar has been in Toronto for a number of years, and so was Formula One in Montreal. But I just always thought, like, I never understood what went into it. I didn't understand the mechanics behind it. I've never been much of a car guy.
Yeah.
So I just saw, NASCAR and like, wow, they're going around in a circle. Not that there's not talent in it. There is. And there's a lot of drama and everything into it, but it was never, well, yeah. And that was basically my exposure to racing was just movies. And it was Drive to Survive. I think it was actually you that suggested. It could have been somebody else.
You guys suggested it to me.
I thought you did. Okay. Either way, somebody suggested it to me because I never really watched it.
Yeah.
And it was a couple of years after it had already been out.
Yeah.
And that's where,
I think COVID did that because there was I think there's 2 seasons prior to the 2020, which is when I started watching it. Which is COVID lockdown.
Yeah, and that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And so just like you, you got to understand what the drivers go through, what the teams go through, how much they actually put into it, how much of a physical sport it actually is. Nobody's actually getting, unless they're getting into a crash, nobody's actually getting beaten around. But you see so much of a different side of it.
Yeah.
I know people just say, Netflix is just putting out their drama, whatever. But when you actually watch it and you read it and you follow the storylines, there's already drama baked into it. They're not doing
their DNA.
I get trying to pack as much as they can into an hour episode, but when you watch it over a season, and that's the other thing. Like the drivers, to me, like you don't watch a lot of hockey.
No.
Or even like when you watch like baseball or football, there's a lot of the times where it's very politically correct answers. They're trying not to be disrespectful to the other competition or whatever. These guys, when they're having interviews, they say what they feel, which is refreshing. You don't really see that a lot at least in North American sport. Right. And so when you see that in racing, it's like, holy Jesus, I love this.
No, it's really interesting. And like just seeing how the money works. And like, I think for me, I mean, all the seasons are good in their own way, but it's those first 2 or 3 seasons that were like really focused on like Haas and like how the money is not fair on all the different teams and all that. So,
I think those first couple seasons are also better because we had no idea what the sport is.
Right.
Now we're following every storyline. We're just basically watching a recap of the season as told through Netflix.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's just
it's Netflix version of this podcast.
Yeah.
Basically.
So that's basically been how we got into it. And same thing, kind of like what keeps us coming back for more is all more of the same, right? Like I love watching the growth of a team, what the teams, how they go about fixing their cars or improving or what's going to come out, like what surprises are going to come out from each team, each driver. Is a mysterious driver just going to be let go in the middle of a season? Who knows?
Exactly. No, it's true. And like I think one of the biggest things too is like when you're watching a race and then all of a sudden you're like, George is out. Like, when did George go out? When is Haas in like 5th place? Like, how is this happening? And it's just, you have to be paying attention at all times, and there's always something to look at. Whatever's going on in the race, Max is way ahead, but there's always something to look at. And I think sometimes some sports there's a bit of a lull, and there's no lull in Formula One.
Well, it's the thing. I was just rewatching, I think it was Australia or if it was Miami, I can't remember. The one that had 3 red flags. And there were 2 standing starts or 3 standing starts. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, it was just,
And Max complaining every restart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, what did he have to complain about?
Well, exactly. Something.
He had to do something for the team ratings. So, with that and talking about the teams and everything, we want to kind of talk about also who our teams are, who our favorite teams, if you can't tell already, if you're watching on YouTube or for Sabrina. So what are our teams and drivers? What are some of our whys? If you want to go.
No,
you go ahead. No.
So if you're watching on YouTube, I am wearing a Ferrari sweater. It's interesting though, because I wouldn't say Ferrari is necessarily my team. I just really like Charles and Carlos. Yes, they're beautiful.
So you're just going to follow them in.
I'm just going to, wherever they go. Like, I mean, I liked Carlos at McLaren too. I liked the Carlos and Carlando bromance.
Well, and you didn't particularly care for, I never heard you mention Kimi when he was at Ferrari.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's not necessarily a Ferrari thing. But I think kind of by default, I kind of have to cheer for Ferrari. I want them to win because I want those guys on the podium. But I think also there's just other drivers that are just great. Like, I really hope 2024 is good for Lando.
Yeah. Well, I think he needs it. He deserves it.
Yeah. I mean, Lewis was somebody that everybody, no matter if you watched Formula One, which I didn't before, you knew his name.
Yeah.
You knew he was the best. Do I want him to win his 8th? Which is debatable for some people, if that he already has it. It would be nice to see him win it. I don't know if I would consider him one of my favorites right now, but it would be nice for him to win that and maybe go out on that high. But yeah, I mean, everybody's good in their own way. There's some that I'm not on my list at all.
And we'll get into it. Yeah, 100%. That's coming in the next couple episodes. So.
I just think for Carlos, and we'll talk about that too, but I think Carlos, his mind, especially in some of the races.
Well, you really saw that this year.
Yeah. So, and a lot of the drivers, I think that's why I like them. It's like how they're able to drive the car. Alonso's another one like that. How they're able to work on the fly under pressure and in all these situations. I like that. I think that's important to the sport, and it's not just driving the car, it's feeling the car, feeling the grid, listening to your pit wall or not listening to your pit wall. So so I don't know if I answered that. We've established that you're more so about the individual, not about the team. Exactly.
You don't care who wins the constructors.
Exactly.
For me, actually, so I've had this debate with my wife quite a few, but I've always been kind of drawn to the villains of a story. Yeah. So especially when you see like Max has always been kind of a villain. Yeah. And so I've always been a Max fan. Even when I first started watching it, not knowing who he was before he had the titles. Yeah. So I like that. I like, especially like in his interviews and stuff, that he's just a no bull BS kind of guy, right?
Doesn't care.
No, he doesn't care. He's gonna say what he's got to say. Yeah. Which was kind of reminiscent of like Niki Lauda. If you ever watch his interviews, he didn't care. He just said what he had to say, and it was just, and that's something I like. I like Charles, just because you kind of want to root for him. Yeah. He's got that face where you kind of just want to root for him. I don't expect much. I mean, the talent's there, but I have to say, probably my second favorite again, Alonso, because he before this year he was the villain in every story. This year he was like everybody's brother.
He was like a friend of everybody. Yeah. No, so chill, it was great.
And so him I've always liked, and then to see like you said, the just the intelligence behind his driving is amazing, and just the raw talent. And that's another reason why I like Lando. This year you saw, like, once he actually had a car under him, the raw talent, like, because everybody was back and forth, him and Piastri, is Piastri going to unseat Lando from the number one spot? And he didn't, because you can just see his experience and just the fact that he has that raw talent. And if you put him in a car, he's going to outperform his teammate, usually. This year, Carlos Sainz took a step back for me, just because of all he just felt like he was a thirst trap. All his pictures posted naked and shit.
He came on to my list this year because of that.
But yeah, Lewis, I mean, again, like you said as well, Lewis has always been somebody you know. You know,
do well.
Well, no, I don't. This year, after last year, actually, last year and then into this year, I didn't really want him to win because everything was, as soon as he was put in a car, he was not going to win it. It was just, he became a little bit of a crybaby. Like, you know what? I'm just going to retire the car because I'm starting in 20th. Like, no, just finish the race. That's what you're getting paid $50 million to do.
Considering he's won from that far back as well.
I know. So it just seems like these last couple of years, he just wasn't as. I mean, this year being in a mediocre car that finished second, you really saw him coming back to his driving style. So I did enjoy seeing him a little bit more this year than was last year. There's, again, we'll get into the drivers we don't like. But Max and Red Bull have been my top. I always want McLaren to do well as well. I can't say I want Ferrari to do well just because everybody's a Ferrari fan, and it's just you know what? I'm not jumping on the bandwagon. I can't do it.
It just seems like the team, like the gateway team. But
and then I want Fernando to do well, but I don't care for Aston Martin to do well.
I agree.
And I know we're both Canadian, and so we both don't like Lance.
No, we don't.
Especially after this year. But again, we'll get into that part. But those are my two teams really. It's McLaren and Red Bull, and then Max and Lando and Alonso are probably my favorite drivers.
And I think we'll see a Max and Lando pairing at some point.
Like in the same car?
On the same team. I think
obviously they're not going to put a two-seater in.
Well, no. Right.
Interesting. That's an interesting take.
So. I think Red Bull will poach Lando at some point.
It's interesting. I don't know. We'll debate that.
We can debate it. That's for episode 4.
We're going to 4. Okay, yeah. I guess we can do that. Yeah. That's going to be that's going to, spoiler alert, that's our prediction. But yeah. All right, and we're back. We've had a little bit of technical difficulties just with our setup. We'll iron those out in the next couple episodes. But yeah, so just as part of our first episode, I kind of brought up to you, actually yesterday, that we were going to try to, we're going to play a little game. Okay? Yeah. Another thing about us is we're both true crime fans. Yeah. Both of us listen to a lot of true crime podcasts. Documentaries, whatever, usually about killers and serial killers or just mysteries.
Dateline NBC.
Oh, you listen to Dateline?
I do listen to Dateline. That podcast is good too.
So I listen to a lot of a podcast called Last Podcast on the Left. They're 3 comedians and they do usually longer parts series of different things. They do cryptids and stuff, which are monsters and all that, but they also do serial killers, horror stories, stuff like that. But anyways, so I had the idea that we were going to take people that anybody, it doesn't really matter. We're not going to go through everybody, but we can go through a bunch of them. And we're going to put them in categories of cops, killers, and victims. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the entire paddock. So everybody's free. Everybody's open. Everybody's ready to go. And so we'll do that and see where we kind of lie and see how different it's going to be. I'll defer to you. I'll see if that's
okay. Who's my first one? Yuki.
Oh. You know what? I never. Actually, you know what? Before we start, what I will say is the reason this started. Actually, we'll start with this one. Okay. And then we'll go to Yuki. The reason this started is because one day I was just thinking about how just basically Piastri's persona, and I'm sure he's a great person. He seems like a very dry humor, somebody I'd really get along with. But he just seems like every meme you see of him or whatever, you'd think he'd be like a serial killer, just straight cut and dry. The way he left Alpine, he would be our just huge what's the word I'm looking for now, sociopath, just disassociated with society.
Oscar, we do love you.
Oh, 100%. But when that was it Austria, I think it was in Austria, when one of those jetpack riders fell and he just looked at the camera like, that's too bad. So that was the first inkling to me, this guy would be a straight serial killer.
It's true. And his interviews after, he had an awesome rookie season, but his interviews were always just it was great. It was
just so blank.
Everybody else was this is awesome.
What race was it when he got podium? or no, Lando was supposed to get podium, and then he had a penalty or something like that, and then or was it the other way around? And he's kind of just looking at the camera like, I
don't know what to do here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And just dry. And it was just,
Yeah, maybe it's just nerves.
Probably, or that's just his personality,
which
is fine. Doesn't mean he actually is a serial killer. Please, nobody look into it. Yeah.
We're not labeling him at all.
No. Just in our own heads. So that was my first one. That's how it kind of came to be this game. So Yuki.
I'm asking you what you think.
Oh, you want to ask me? Yeah. I thought you were going to put him in something.
No.
Oh. He's not a killer to me. To me, he's not a killer. And I don't see him being a cop.
Yeah, he's not a cop.
Unfortunately, I think Yuki would be the victim. He'd probably be like the gullible kind of person that just kind of falls into a trap.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just like a sweet, innocent kind of.
He does have this aggression.
I never said he wouldn't survive. I'm not saying he's going to die.
Some sort of. Yeah.
He's a victim. I think he'd be trusting. He'd F you up in the end, maybe. Yeah. But
good point. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Yuki is a victim.
Okay. Yeah. I think we're both on. We're both on the same page.
Yeah. Okay. That one.
So we're 2 for 2 on this one. All right. Okay. I'll put it to you. Ocon.
I feel like he could be a few of them. Yeah. I feel like he would be a cop in one, but like he would be like the asshole cop.
Yes.
He could also be a killer that would get away with it for like years.
Oh, see, I think he would falter and be caught pretty quickly if he was a killer.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Those penalties.
I'm thinking about his radio message to his team when he said, "Better tell Haas to get out of the way because I'm coming." You know. Like, thanks, bud. That's like sending a letter to the police and be like,
right.
By the way, catch me if you can.
True. That's a good point. So I think it could go either way.
Yeah.
And then I feel like he could be a victim as well, I think. Just from what we see on the show.
But or is it because you want him to be the victim?
A little bit of both. A little bit of all of the above. He doesn't seem to have the same relationship with the paddock that everybody else does. Like the bromances, you don't really see.
No, I think he lives in his own world. Like he's in the Ocon world.
Yeah,
and and everybody else is there too, and at least that's what he thinks.
Yeah, so that's why I feel like he could be a victim. At some point.
See, but me saying that now, I'm starting to think, well, that's kind of what a killer does. Like everybody's living in my world.
Yeah. There's
like I'm the star of this. Yeah.
Tendency again.
I'm the star of this show.
Good point. I mean, yeah, I feel like he could be any of these, but I think probably killer.
Yeah, I think for me he lands on the killer.
Yeah. Dirty cop killer?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Like,
yeah.
You know, that's possible too. I'm gonna go Fred Vasseur.
Oh, he's a cop, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. He's a cop. Yeah.
He didn't even talk.
I don't. Yeah, no, yeah. He's just the observant guy that's in the back, and he's like, yeah, we'll get him.
He knows what's going on. He's been on the force for 40 years. Yeah. He knows it.
He's the veteran cop, and there's no ifs, ands, to me, anyways.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. Well, let's stick in the Ferrari camp. Let's go with Charles.
Oh, he's a victim.
100%.
He's a victim.
100%.
Like, he's a victim.
This guy is going to get taken for exactly. He's a victim in his job already. He's going to get taken for a ride every time. Yeah. He's still going to have that belief that everything's going to be all right. He's going to be stuck in a dungeon. He's chained there. Yeah. He thinks being nice to his captor is just going to get him through it. And in the end, he's just
he's a victim.
It's just going to be another statistic.
He's just
I don't think there's any way. Like, you look at his face. I mean, there's no way.
I mean, he's also like the perfect. This sounds bad, but like the perfect person to kidnap. He's got money. The ransom would be great. He's just a walking victim. It's kind of sad.
You're never gonna get that interview.
I know.
With him. This is gonna come out somewhere, and like to like 2 people, and that one person's gonna show it to him. and that's it. And you ended.
Yeah.
It's done before it began.
I take it all back. You wouldn't be a part of the show. Not part of our game. Okay, I mean, we have to do Toto.
Okay, Toto. Toto. It's so easy to put him in the killer category because he's Austrian. You think of Terminator. I mean, the voice just works, but to me, I think he would be a cop.
Toto would be a cop.
Yeah.
2021,
Yeah.
Toto is a cop.
Yeah.
Like, he is just
100%.
following the rules, like, no, Mikey.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, yeah. He's going to look at Dirty Cop Ocon and be like, no,
Yeah.
Ocon, that's so not right.
It's so not right. Yeah, no, he's definitely a cop.
100%. Yeah. You see, especially the way he walks up there,
Yeah.
barrel chested, like
Yeah.
he's gonna bust some heads.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
What else do we have in the paddock that would be?
Oh, I mean, I've got one, but it's an easy one. I mean, you could go with Lando.
He could be a killer.
You think so?
He could be a killer. He could be
I
like,
think like a Ted Bundy kind of
yes,
type.
like the one, he's just so charming. The girls love him.
Yeah, I guess it would be easy to put him in that victim category. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you could lure him away with some candy in a video game, but
Basically.
yeah, no, yeah, I could see that. I
Like,
could see.
he's just so charming, nice
Yeah.
guy. He's got that, cute little car. He drives around Monaco. Like, yeah.
Then all of a sudden, that car is turning down
Right.
a dark alley, and then
Yeah.
you're
He's,
pissing yourself.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be an interesting one. I'd pay to see that movie
Yeah.
with Lando as the killer. Yeah, that'd be all right. Yeah.
I just thought of another one, but it would be a duo. And whichever way this goes, they're going to be a duo. So it is Magnussen and Hulkenberg.
Ooh, like good cop,
So there
bad
would
cop.
be two cops, two killers, or just two victims together.
I don't see them both as victims. I don't see them both victims together.
They wouldn't be victims
Unless
separately either.
Yeah, no. I could see them as good cop, bad cop.
I can see good cop, bad cop, but a bad cop is Nico Hulkenberg.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm not that I don't see Kevin smile, but I mean, I always see like everything you hear about Nico. He's the he's lighthearted. He's got some jokes.
True.
He's funny. I would see him more as the good cop, and although suck my balls. Yeah.
Wait, yeah.
That was Nico saying it to
Yep.
Kevin. That
Yeah.
was, if I'm
So-
right. Yeah, if I remember. Yeah, no, I don't see them as two killers.
Like a Bonnie and Clyde.
No,
or
I think
Clyde and
I think it's
Clyde.
just the easy way to put the German in as the killer. It's just like, yeah. Although the Austrian wasn't, so
Right.
But yeah, no, yeah. To me, I see them as two cops.
Two cops. Yeah, I can see two. In my head, I was thinking two cops.
Two cops. Okay.
Yeah. Good cop, bad cop.
I had mentioned this to you before, Christian Horner.
Yeah. I mean, he's just, depending on how you look at it, he is a villain.
I think he has to be in the villain category. I don't know necessarily that he would go as far as killer.
No.
To me, he's a con man. Like, he's the guy he's gonna be your best friend, and then all of a sudden you walk in your house, maybe your dog's dead, but everything else is gone. Your safety deposit box is cleared out.
Yeah. I can see it. So, like, white collar crime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah. Like a DB Cooper.
It's the British.
Yeah.
DB Cooper, that's a good one. It's the British in him that, like, he's a little proper with it. But, like,
But he's always
proper.
having a good time, right? And then, but you can see, then
Yeah.
just the way he talks sometimes about people, and it's like, yeah, I don't really like you.
It's the sweater vest that he has on sometimes.
Change your
cardigans.
effing car.
Yeah. I mean, change it. Which they didn't. And Red Bull changed theirs. So,
Yeah.
all right. We need a good one.
Trying to go through. I mean,
Keeping with the British, George.
oh, George to
Russell.
me. My first instinct would have been killer. You look in those eyes and you think killer. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Um,
It's very proper, but something about his eyes, the way when he looks when he's mad or he's frustrated or upset in like an interview or anything, and I'm like, this guy has some darkness there.
Yeah.
Like, there's something there.
I think years ago I probably mentioned that I thought he was like Gaston. That he reminded me of Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. And Gaston's a villain. Yeah. So I think that's like killer category.
Yeah. So
again, kind of like a Christian, like not really maybe a killer, but like.
Oh, I see. I'd put him fully in that killer category. I mean, to me, he would be a Dexter. Like, he would be prepared. He would have his PowerPoint ready of how he's going to create this kill scene. He's going to have all the plastic ready to go. He's going to have an escape plan. He's there, and then nobody's going to suspect him because he's just going to go and be posh and British, and the odd time blow up at his pit wall, and then go off on the off weekends and just go on a spree.
I can see now that you mentioned Dexter. I can see it. Definitely see it.
I'm not necessarily saying he's going to be a benevolent killer,
but
he'd be a prepared one.
Prepared. It's all about being prepared.
Prepared. Mr. Saturday, ready to go on a Sunday.
Yeah. Who else have we got?
I would probably go with. Let's do Lance. Just for the hell of it, just for some Canadian content. I think Lance could go one of two ways. I think Lance could either be a victim or a killer. Yeah, I would go with the... Well, I mean, it's easy to put him in the victim category. It's easy to put him in the victim category because you're going to kidnap him. You're going to ask daddy for money.
Right. Yeah.
You're going to ask him for $1 billion and probably a replica Aston Martin. You know.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Right? And it'd be easy. No problem. They're just going to pay it just to get him... Well, do they really want it? Do they? Pay it? I mean, it's an easy out
Do they pay
out of his contract. Right? You can just put on a sob story on an interview and be like... You know, I don't know where he is. We're doing the best we can to get him. We haven't had any request yet. But here's our new driver. You know?
Fernando's partner. Yeah. But I could see.
But I think that would be a best case scenario.
Yes. We love all of you drivers.
Yeah. But it might not sound like it. See, I would put him I would go the opposite way and put him in the maybe accidental killer. Like maybe he had...
Second degree murder?
Yeah. Manslaughter. Okay. I mean, hit somebody with his car. It was a dark night. Not Batman. And, you know, he's calling daddy and daddy's the accessory to murder.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. But I was going between victim and killer, so... Yeah,
it really could go both ways, I think.
He could also be the guy that, like, just disappears. Like a DB Cooper.
Yeah, but that'd be too easy. You know what I mean? Like, he's just going to take the money. He's just going to go buy an island. And he's going to be gone. It's just all right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
See, I don't find him being a con man because he's already got it all. I mean, he likes to be in the limelight. I mean, he wanted to join the tennis tour. I mean, I
would like to see that.
For content purposes, yes, I would like to see that. I don't know. I don't think he would be in the caliber of a professional. I've never seen him play. But if he was that good as a 16, 18-year-old, he probably would have been in there already.
True. Maybe he's just better at driving.
Jesus.
Okay, well, since we're continuing with Canada, I guess we could maybe make this our last one, but we have to go with the GOAT, Nicholas Latifi.
Oh, we're bringing back the oldies.
The GOAT.
Okay, the GOAT. I mean, does almost killing yourself every weekend count?
I mean, and everybody.
He killed his career.
Everybody on the grid.
He killed his career.
Yeah.
So I mean, other than a Mick Schumacher who probably had more money in damages. Yeah. He was the more high-profile crashes.
So.
But
he's kind of a victim.
He'd be a victim.
He's a victim. Poor Nicholas.
I feel like we're really light on cops.
We are light on cops. I don't know who else would be a cop.
I don't know there would be anybody from the paddock that would be a cop.
Lewis might.
Oh, you know who?
He's always telling on people going off.
That's true. Yeah,
track limits. He's on it.
Is he a cop or is he a meter maid? I mean,
he's
like you are 1 second over your park. You're getting his ticket. Bud.
Yeah. That's.
See, I would have put. And his name escapes me at the moment. I don't know why, but Red Bull's mechanic, the one that's always visible. Big black guy with the dreads. I forget what his name is now. I mean, that guy is a cop. That guy, 100%.
Oh yeah,
he's a cop. He's a fun cop.
He's a fun cop.
Yeah. You're going to the bar with him.
Yes, he's the one that's like, oh, the music's a little loud, but the music's good, so just turn it down a little bit.
But he runs a tight ship. Yeah. 100%. Sure. That guy, and I think he would probably be the only likable cop that would be on the paddock.
Yeah. Or the Ferrari guy that with the
with the cars tattoo. Yeah. Well, they're a buddy. See, there you go. There's another buddy cop too.
The buddy system. They probably don't speak the same language though.
I think they'd work it out.
They would work it out. I mean, sure.
Wasn't there a Canadian movie, Good Cop, Bong Cop? Which was they're both good cops, but one of them spoke French. And you've never heard of that?
I've never.
It was all over. Was it on Netflix or something? It was all over somewhere. Anyways, I'd never watched it, but it was Good Cop, Bon Cop.
Good Cop, Bon Cop.
Yeah. Okay. Which for anybody else doesn't know, bon means good in French. So they were just good cop, good cop.
Okay. Well, there's hope for anything, really.
Yeah, but, so I think that's our episode. I think we'll end it there on the game.
The good cop.
I don't think we have to go through everybody on the paddock. If anybody is listening to this and anybody who wants to play along and you've got a comment or a voice message, you can do that on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, and Amazon Music or Google Podcasts. Leave us a comment. Let us know, and we'll talk about it. But we'll leave you with that. So just to let everybody know, we are beginning this podcast. This date is January 29th. We're going to be coming out with weekly podcasts from now on. Again, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. So go wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe to us, and leave
follow, comment.
Yeah.
Anything.
All of it. All the good stuff.
All good comments.
No, give us the bad comments. I don't care. I won't debate you like some comedians, but I want to hear them.
That's true.
If you can make us laugh with a bad comment, I'm all for it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I might cry a little bit, but
cry? Why cry?
I don't know. I won't cry.
They can't hurt you. They're not Oscars. No, we love you, Oscar. All right, so that's it, and we'll see you next week. Grab a fresh set. See you later, everyone.